Chapter 15. The Handshake. The next few days passed with little fanfare. Akechi went to school, performed well in classes, smiled when addressed by peers, but never stopped to give them much time. He had simple enough excuses: studying, family matters, and off-campus extracurriculars, none of which were lies. After all, when Kazi wasn't too preoccupied at the textile shop, he and Akechi continued their training. The many jogs up the hill strengthened his endurance, and the more he sparred with Kanzi, the smoother his movements became. Each session led to a sweaty mess by the end, but that simply improved his efforts or paying off. No doubt it was helpful cardio to boot. When school let out on the 26th, Akechi walked Nanako home on an unwavering smirk and a spring in his step. Then he'd visit Marie again. Tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow the fun would truly begin. But for now, it was high time to hightail it to the shopping district. The vacant gas station only briefly registered as the sight of a familiar blue hat propelled him forward. "Marie-san," he called, hoping not to catch her completely off guard this time. She pivoted on a heel, calm for a change. His tactic clearly paid off then. "Oh, hey!" Digging into her shoulder bag, she pulled out the borrowed book. "So, I finished it." Akechi accepted it and tucked it into his own school bag. "What'd you think?" "It was freaky. Some of those stories were just..." She winced. "There was one about a kid who got abandoned because his parents were too poor. He died, and his spirit went out to hunt the ones who left him behind. All I could think of was, who would do that? Are humans really that cruel?" Akechi fought back a grimace. "Some people are cruel. To them, children are a burden. It could be that they fell upon financial ruin, or they did not wish to have a child. At the time, they may act for their own self-preservation. Regrettably, there are many children in this country who are abandoned and left to languish in orphanages and foster homes, and due to the cultural value placed upon bloodlines, few end up adopted." He tried to sound level, neutral, and objective, but he could feel his breathing grow heavier while his veins surged with heat. "Is that hell?" "It can be." A broken smile overtook his face. "Hell comes in many forms, Marie-san. The horrific stories described in that book, while perhaps not the hell of Western religion, evoke the feeling of hell. Pain, agony, suffering, fear. The darkest, ugliest aspects of life told through the guise of fantasy and fable." A quiet, contemplative silence washed over Marie. "So when you say you lived through hell..." "I've seen and experienced things I wouldn't wish upon anyone, let alone another child. I learned, I adapted, and more importantly, I survived. But I'm sure that someone with weaker resolve would have long since crumpled under the immense weight I once shouldered." He tipped his chin up, trying to feign confidence. "So it's a good thing I'm so damn stubborn." "Yeah, I'll say. I'm glad you're alive." "Oh, what was that?" A little smile, soft, and dare he say, sweet. Not that you wouldn't be. I'm just saying, you kept me from dying of boredom in the room, so we're good. You're cool." Okay, that squeezed a genuine laugh from Akechi. "Marie-san, if I didn't know better, I think you actually cared about me." Her cheeks puffed up in an honestly adorable pout. "Don't let it get to your head. But you kept your promise, so..." She wilted and tugged at her bag shoulder strap. "Now what?" "We move on to another book. Unless you'd rather not have anything interesting in your elusive room." Her wide-eyed stare spoke volumes. "Wait, so you're just gonna keep going? Even though I know what hell is now?"
You have an idea of hell, but we haven't delved into the Western Judeo-Christian concepts of hell, let alone more media portrayals in both the East and West. And if you get bored of the subject, I can always find something else."
How funny. He didn't really have to do this for her, and yet it felt right. She didn't seem to have much or many hobbies. It wasn't quite pity, though. Perhaps it started that way, but now... Huh. So I could just read whatever I want? She peered at the bookstore. Actually, I asked Margaret, and she gave me money, so maybe I could buy something here? I don't know. You pick something if you want.
How about something more uplifting?
He held the door for her, beckoning her inside. Can reading do that? Lift me up?
Right. This was Marie, after all. It can make you feel happier. You probably need that after finishing those ghost stories. But where to start? You peruse the cells. The lovely man was an innocent enough title. How about this? It may help you understand humans in a more positive light.
The lovely man? But what's so lovely about him?
You'll have to read it to find out. Maria huffed, swiping the book.
Okay, fine, but it better have a good reason.
While we're at it, beginner fishing, might as well. They say fishing is a relaxing hobby, and it'll give you another reason to leave your room.
Huh, and I could just do that?
You can always ask. Engaging with mundane human activities may spark a memory for all we know.
I guess so.
So you accepted the book, heading into the front store.
So I just put the book down and then pay, right? With the money?
Yes, she'll tell you the total cost, and then you pay accordingly.
Gotcha.
Upon completing their purchase, they headed back outside. Once Marie had tucked her new spoils in the shoulder bag, however, a frown crept across her lips.
So if I could buy books now, does that mean you aren't going to bring me more from your
Library? No, I can still do so if you like. They probably have a wider selection, including manga if you want something more visually stimulating.
mug?
Technically slightly, Akechi shook his head. Ah, her lack of worldly awareness never ceased to amuse. Comics. They're stories that include pictures and often span several volumes.
She tipped her head back and squinted, as if trying to visualize this. Guess that sounds interesting.
Akechi sat his right hand on his hip. I'll try to find something eye-catching. It may help you understand modern pop culture at least.
Pop culture? Why does it pop?
It's short for popular. She crossed her arms, huffing again.
Then why don't they just say the full word? Otherwise it's just confusing.
Akechi shrugged. It wasn't something he really thought too hard about. It's easier to sort in some words. Television TV, for instance.
I guess it's easier to say. She paused. Hey, do you think I could bring a TV into the room?
Akechi brought his free hand to his chin. That depends. Does it have a power outlet?
It's a car.
I thought it was a room.
Can it be both?
You know what? Why not? You would know better than me.
Still interesting.
If you're looking for other activities, you could always look into card games, board games if the others in your room have any interest in being respectable hosts.
Board games? That doesn't sound very...
The other kind of board. It just might be worth trying, if your nose Fred and Margaret are interested in being good hosts.
One problem. I don't really know how to play games.
Ah, of course you wouldn't. Perhaps that's another task to add to the growing list of things to teach you. You couldn't believe he was offering so easily, but, well, it was beneficial, wasn't it? Building their connection, strengthening their bond. This could prove quite handy once he gained access to her mystery room. Perhaps it might be entertaining to see how she tackled such a technical game. How quickly would she learn? What tactics would she prefer? A blank state like Marie wastes so many questions. She married the Cassidy's posture, stroking her chin with narrow eyes.
You think this will help my memories at all?
It might. It might not. But either way, you might enjoy yourself. And isn't that worth a single pursuing yourself?
Yeah, I guess it is, huh?
A quiet laugh escaped her as he perked back up.
Alright, I see the list. Easy to keep me going from crazy in there.
Exactly. At least he understood the benefits. That proved that she wasn't a doormat. By the way, Marie-san, I think I found a way to obtain power to enter the other world. He glanced towards the gas station. All I need is a rainy day, and a certain someone should appear.
Yeah, the nose knows.
Her face scrunched up as she realized how goofy that sounded out loud.
You're on the right track, I think. And he says if you can get the power, he'll finally let you in.
Oh, that was good news. I look forward to meeting this elusive nose when the time comes. This also sounded really weird when voiced aloud, prompting Akechi to slap his palm over his face, and I sincerely hope he has an actual name.
He does, but his nose is just... yeah. Margaret even has a song for it.
A song about a long nose. What was with those people? I suppose I'll have to see it for myself.
When you do, you owe me. I don't know, something cool.
Why?
Because I'm going to have to pull double duty for you. Skill cards and nuisance. And on top of all the cards, I'm going to have to give Mr. No girlfriends.
Okay, perhaps that was a tad bit concerning. Why are you thrusting so much onto you? Isn't there that Margaret woman?
Yeah, she does fuses for no girlfriends, but in those things I make a better attendant for you, 'cause we already know each other.
She poked his shoulder, still pouting.
You're lucky you're so cool, or I'd probably complain about it.
At least they're going to pay you.
See, that's the fun part. You paying me. He said you don't have a lot of money, so that's not fun for you.
She blew out a small puff of air, pressing her palm against her neck.
And you can get money from fighting hands? The gold kind that likes to run away.
What?
There are gold hands that drop money.
Presumably shadows, but why hands?
Hey, don't give me that look. I'm not the one who makes the rules. I didn't decide that there should be creepy hands with masks that make you rich if you beat 'em up. All I know is that no girlfriends made it work for him, so it'll probably work for you.
Ketsi reached to his temple, shutting his eyes for a moment. All right. So evidently, shadows drop money. I'll keep that in mind. You have to make a note about it later, for the sake of accuracy.
Good. Sounds way cooler than a normal job, right? At least you could go out and kick some ass if hands had them, but they don't, so it's just a metaphor.
Ketsi bit his lip, snoring, but nope, a laugh still escaped. Marie-san, you truly do have a way with words.
Yeah, and don't you forget!
After the two parted ways, Akechi spent the rest of the evening studying. With midterms on the horizon and the next few days reserved for dealings with the attendant, he needed to remain on track. Nanako sat beside him as he worked, and occasionally he looked away from his homework to assist her with his own assignments. Yu, meanwhile, stepped out for some nighttime fishing. An odd choice, given the lack of light, but at least it gave Akechi some time away from his weird antics. Throughout the next school day, Akechi anxiously waited his freedom. The rain splattering outside the window only added to his impatience, while his classmates muttered to each other about the midnight channel once more. When Akechi finally escaped, Kazi met him on the way back. So today's the big day, huh? Akechi strode proudly beneath its umbrella. That it is, though there's no guarantee I'll appreciate him on the first try. Kazi pumped his fist against his chest. Need me to back you up? Akechi shook his head. Probably best if I do this myself. It'll look less conspicuous that way. Hey, I ain't that conspicuous. I'm not saying you are, but you're also perceived as tough, intimidating by the general public. What's more, I've established a rapport with him, and I hate to betray his trust so close to the finish line. Yeah, I guess I can't argue that, Kazi sighed. Well, let me know how it goes. I'll be down at the shop if you need me. When Kenzie reached the South Shopping District and caught a familiar head of wavy gray hair beneath the red baseball cap, he grinned. Kazi stopped and stared. Shit, you weren't kidding. So now you know. Now if you'll excuse me. Kenzie straightened his uniform and ran a hand through his hair. Nodding, Kazi scurried down the street. The attendant watched this and chuckled. You know, I'm surprised you didn't tell him to stick around. Akechi approached him. I wanted to err on the side of caution. After all, your offer was between the two of us. That it was. The attendant munched closer, a tight-lipped smirk on his face. So, you've been busy, huh? And productive. Thanks to some correspondence from Yukio Amaki and Chie Tanaka, I'm now even more prepared for the dangers of the TV world. He reached into his pocket, withdrawing the notebook. Perhaps you'd like to take a peek at my findings? This should be good. He accepted the journal and flipped it open, eyes scanning its contents. Well, this is thorough. You even got a section about little old me. He circled around Akechi, tapping the page with his finger. Want to know a secret, kid? Akechi crossed his arms, expressive flat. There's a lot I'd like to know. Well, see, you know that Narukami Kid's different. The whole multiple personas thing? Not everyone can pull that, but you. He stopped front of Akechi. You're what they call a wild card. Those funky voices in your head. Whenever you make a connection. The fact that this nose guy's got you on his radar, that's no coincidence. Anything that Murakami Kid can do, so can you. Your Murakami wasn't special. Or perhaps more accurately, Akechi was just as special? The news stole his breath away, gave him a genuine pause. Then his face punched into a typhoid scowl. Oh, then why is it you gave him that power? The attendant shrugged, eerily nonchalant. If I had given you a handshake that day, you would have missed Mayumi Yamano's death. You were working so hard. I didn't want to wipe you out, and I thought a little friendly competition would strengthen your resolve. Are you serious? I guess he didn't mean to yell, but the words exploded out of him all the same. An innocent girl died. If I attained the power, there's a lot of what ifs, but no guarantee to work out. He closed the notebook, offering it back to Akechi. But you were still one step ahead. You told him what they had to do, and he chose not to listen. Even with the crushing loss of that Konisi girl, you didn't let that stop you. You kept fighting, kept pushing, and even without setting a foot in the TV, you already got the basics down. Akechi accepted the notebook, clutching it close, but his scowl only deepened. The killer possesses similar abilities. Did you plan all this? If you're asking me if I'm out for blood, the answer's no. I bring out the potential inside people's hearts, but it's up to them to decide what they do with that power. He bent down closer to Akechi's height, looking him straight in the eye. So what would you do, kid? Pursue the truth, obviously. Stop the killer before things get out of hand. But that can't be all that's driving you. No. Akechi turned around, watching the rain splatter against the empty street. Before I met Kanji-san, no one gave me a second thought. I was just another throwaway bastard child, to be pitied, to be mocked, to be discarded and maligned. Now I have a chance to be more than that. I could be the hero I always dreamed of being, until reality reared its ugly head. The attendant stepped beside him, stroking his chin. That's a solid pitch. There's just one thing I'm wondering. What about tonight? What do you... Wait, of course. This is supposed to rain for the next 3 days. But to their knowledge, there was no victim at this time. You want me to investigate the Midnight Channel, don't you? Yep. Now's a bad time to go TV hopping anyway, so another day won't kill you. That wasn't quite the outcome Akechi wanted, but on the other hand, this was progress. The attendant found him interesting. The attendant, allegedly at least, sought to motivate him, test his resolve, so every little hurdle where it seemed like Akechi was left behind was instead an obstacle for him to overcome. Even he could admit that it worked to some extent. Had he simply gained the powers, he would have truly been so driven to prove himself to Narukami. And despite his lack of powers, he still pieced it together, a cohesive picture, predicted the course of the case, and connected so many dots. Akechi turned away his notebook. A hostile smuggle tugged at his lips. Very well. If it's answers you seek, then answers you will receive. Good. Looking forward to it, kid. When his progress halted, Akechi made his way down the street, texting Kanji all the while. Well, I've got my foot in the door, but the attendant wants me to monitor the Midnight Channel, and I'll report in with my findings tomorrow. Kanji replied, Hey, it's a start. Want to grab some food and I had to celebrate? They got their rainy day special going. A warm meal would be nice. Alright, Kanji-san. Meet you there. On a rainy day like today, Aya's atmosphere was a welcome change of pace. The red hanging banners, the golden glow lights above, and the cute decor like the mannequin echo statue up by the bar gave the place a cozy feeling. While you could have chosen to sit up by the bar and watch the tests do their thing, he, Yosuke, and Marie instead took an empty table by the door. On a rainy day like today, it was the perfect chance to test their mettle with a special mega beef bowl. Marie, being pretty obviously sheltered, stared down at the bowl, while she awkwardly tried to adjust her chopsticks. There's so much meat. Yosuke laughed. Yeah, that's how they hook you in. If you can eat the whole thing, it's free. But otherwise, oof. Honestly, I would have recommended steak skewers at the Sozai Daigaku. But with the weather like this, it's cold and wet. Marie's face crinkled up, ran her fingers over her wet hair. Hey, no girlfriends. How do I get one of those umbrellas? Yosuke's lips prompted a wobbly smile before any snorted. No girlfriends? Damn, Marie-san, that's brutal. Brutal? Oh, definitely. But to use credit, he maintained his best poker face. It was funny how that stuck out most about their initial meeting. But it's true, Hellboy. He said it. He can't have girlfriends, which aren't the same as girlfriends. But I guess boyfriends aren't attainable. Her eyes slowly narrowed. Hey, are you his boyfriend? Yosuke spat out some beef, eyes bulging as he were shrill. Damn, what the hell? Amazing. Iconic. You wish he'd taken a picture. Instead, I see both fingers on the table. Well, are you? Man, don't even joke like that. People are going to get the wrong idea. He looked over his shoulder, and it looked like some heads from the bar and neighboring tables already turned their way. Hey, totally platonic bros over here. Nothing to see. And now the tables are turned. You tipped his head down to enhance his menacing vibes, and then, with a swift maneuver of the chopsticks, popped a piece of beef into his mouth. Ray squinted at the table. Looks the same to me. Yeah. Perhaps in a desperate bid to change the subject, Yosuke said, Oh yeah, Marisa, were you into Judas or Akechi the other day? Marie slapped her left hand on the table, pouting. Hey, it's not like I was his babysitter. I was just there, looking at stuff. Innocent stuff that has nothing to do with the TV world. Yosuke cut her off. Right. Hey, yeah, TVs. We can't buy the truckloads. All the top of the line state of the art. Brought to you by Judas. Okay, this wasn't going well. Not that you blamed Marie. A lack of social awareness brought on by amnesia was totally understandable, and Margaret asked him to help her adjust to more social situations, since Akechi was more focused on giving her hobbies and information. So, in an effort to pivot from the supernatural, he looked at her and said, Hey, if you need an umbrella, you can have mine. I could always buy one another layer. You sure? Yeah. Wouldn't want you to catch a cold. Smooth, partner. Yasuke winked. Too bad that Hellboy's cramping your style. Hey, his house, his rules. Plus, given what he's lived through, I don't want to tempt fate. Oh, it's an Akechi thing. Yosuke sighed, slipping his over the table. Man, what are we going to do with that kid? I still haven't gotten a chance to talk to him. You never know, you said with a smile. Next thing you know, he could walk through the door and the bell up front rang. Ding ding! And the door flew open, and Kanzi Akechi stepped inside. At that moment, it was like the whole world froze. Akechi slowly turned his attention to the table where the youth group sat. He stared down by one. Then his eyes became slits. Nostrils flared. He spun on his heel. Kazi-san, I changed my mind. Let's go somewhere else. Yosuke hopped to his feet. Hey, wait! You don't have to! Akechi glared over his shoulder. Spare me, Hanamaru-san. We're not talking about this in public. The other customers watched the scene play out before them. Kanzi gave Akechi a sad look and then snapped, Nothing to see here! Just eat your damn food! The door slammed shut behind him, and an uncomfortable silence washed over the entire restaurant. Then Yosuke, like a freshly popped balloon, draped over a table again. Man, why's he gotta make things so difficult? It's a public restaurant packed with people. What do you expect? You didn't mean to sound harsh, but given that he lived with Akechi for over 2 weeks now, he learned enough about that kid's boundaries to anticipate an outcome like this. Yosuke kept sulking anyway, looking at you with the face of a kicked puppy. To be honest, it was kind of cute. Well, it's not like I get a lot of chances to talk to him in private. The entire time, Marie had stayed weirdly focused on her meal. She scarfed down a ton of meat, only to stop, lean back in her chair, and rub her belly. Then, finally, it seemed that the conversation here. She straightened up and shot Yosuke a sharper look. Maybe you should try harder. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work, Yosuke whined. But sheesh, I just want to apologize to the kid. If it gets too tough, I can fight you over sometime. You said in an attempt to lift his spirits. We could get back, watch TV, study for midterms. Ugh, midterms! Yosuke dug his fingers to his scalp. Well, you have to remind me. You leaned forward, waving his chopsticks. Oh, Yosuke, do you need a tutor? Yosuke shot up to his seat, grumbling, I'm not paying you to make me study, dude. While the two of them bickered, if you could even call it that, Marie looked from one boy to the other. You two are weird. Yes. Yes, they were. In the end, Akechi and Kanji grabbed steak crotechs from the Sozai Daigaku, and even getting an extra order just for Nanako. For the cover of the couch, the two boys munched on their meal and watched Featherman reruns. After a few bites, Kanji said, maybe it'd be better to just rip the band-aid off and talk to him. At least then it's off your chest. Akechi groaned, dripping one of his croquettes in the sauce before chomping down a bit forcefully. I wasn't going to be a public spectacle. That stupid Hanamura. Eating at a public restaurant on a rainy day when said restaurant offered rainy day stay special. Still, can't believe Marie-san would waste her time with him. Narakami-san I understand, given his ties to her master. But why Hanamura? Kazi stride, leaning back against the cushions. He was probably just there at the right place, right time. You know, he and young senpai are tight.
Looking up from her place at the table, Nanako said, Aw, are you sad because one of your friends couldn't spend time with you today?
Not sad, just baffles you have the patience for an idiot like Yosuke Hanamura.
Akechi continued nibbling, letting the action of biting into his breaded beef soothe the raging fire within.
That's fine. Tomorrow's another day. I'll be all right, Nanako-chan.
The rainy night passed without much fanfare. While you worked on translating for yet another job, Akechi worked on some weight training at the Midnight Channel finally greeted him. Only static filled the screen. Yu leaned forward, resting his hands on his lip. Hey, looks like everything's safe and sound. Akechi closed his phone, having recorded the screen's transformation from emptiness to short-lived static. Good. Let's hope it stays that way. The next day, Akechi strode back to the gas station, eager to make some genuine headway. Just like before, the attendant greeted him, this time with a lazy wave. Hey there, detectives. How's the sleuthin'? Akechi sauntered beneath the cover shelter at the gas station, fist out his phone. The attendant moved closer while he opened his photos and videos. Now sounds like a good time to share my collection of evidence. He started on the first photo of Mayumi Yamano's silhouette. I began chronicling the Midnight Channel the very night you nudged me towards the rumors. He flipped through the next photos. From the two remaining Yamano images to the images of you in the TV, and videotape of escape with his friends. I wanted to be thorough and build a portfolio of proof. The attendant struck his chin. But you didn't turn it to the authorities. No. Even if they believed me, it would endanger Narukami-san and the others. And with them as the only ones besides the culprit who could access the TV world, I didn't want to jeopardize the safety of future victims. He stopped on a photo of Saki screaming. But it was painful. When in the span of 4 days, I witnessed 2 murders live on screen. You know, most kids would have packed it up right there. That's some real traumatic stuff you expose yourself to. Is the truth really worth the pain that comes with it? My entire life has been nothing but pain, with only fleeting bright spots in between. I don't believe living in ignorance is the answer. At best, it's a coward's play. While my peers obsess in the spectacle of the scandals and sorrows of the murder bring, I refuse to yield. He moved on to the Yukio silhouette and then, played the recording on her shadow. I've got my lacy unmensables on. Stats from top to bottom. The attendant whistled. Damn, kid. I didn't know you were into...
Don't even go there.
Akechi snarked. I only recorded it for proof. I have no interest in the objectification of girls, nor do I intend to use this as blackmail for Amagi-san. He wasn't like the wretched man who drove his mother to wit's end. Now then, you wanted to know about the Midnight Channel last night? Akechi selected the final clip, showing the dull screen shift to static. It appeared that without a victim in the television, or a prominent figure to capture the public's attention, the end result is pure noise. Good catch. I think you're onto something, especially with the crazy backdrop around the Amagi girl. What do you think that was about? Kazuya Hassan and I deduced the Midnight Channel gains true clarity when a subject is within the TV world. At that point, backgrounds materialize, be they familiar sights of vending machines, posters of Mizuru Hiragi, or an elaborate castle for a princess seeking a noble knight. And based on what Amagi-san told me, my guess is that this castle represented the subconscious desire in the same way her shadow represented her repressed feelings. The attendant clapped. Look at you, putting the pieces together. You really are something else, kid. Akashi snapped his phone shut and placed it back in his pocket. So, does that mean I passed the test? Yeah. But before we commit, I gotta clarify a few things. He circled Akachi again, gesturing with his hands as he talked. First, my handshake only awakens the potential sleeping inside you. That means you'll get your ticket into the TV world, but that doesn't guarantee you'll be smooth as that Narukami kid. That was... Akachi's eyes narrowed, and he closed his umbrella tight. But you said I had the potential on par with his. And you do. Here's the thing. Those shadows can creep up even with wild cards. If there's enough chaos or dissonance in your heart, you're gonna have to face it, same as everyone else.
It would be so easy for Akechi to say he held no such inner discord, but he could say that with certainty. He placed his free hand over his chest, looking down. He liked to think he had gotten better in the short time he spent with the Ojimas. He had a home, he had stability, he had a friend in Kanji. For once, the deck was stuck in his favor. It was mere moments for seizing the power to truly shape his future. Tell you what, the attendant said, you take tonight to think it over. Do a little self-reflection. The better you can mentally prepare yourself, the easier it'll be when you awaken your powers. When, not if. So it was as good as set in stone. Fine, but no more delays. You've got it, kiddo. The attendant tipped his hat. Adieu, Goro Akechi, to the dawn of your new beginning. That night, after dinner, Akechi sat listlessly in the desk, inching tiny marks in the margins of his notes. Why would I have discord in my heart? I know who I am. I know the depths of my anguish and the darker sins within me. The door opened and Yu slipped inside. Everything okay? Akechi tensed up, hunching over his desk with his head down. It's nothing, Narukami-san. Yu flopped down on the left side of the couch, closest to the desk. No offense, but anguish and discord aren't exactly words I use to describe someone who's fine. Akechi glowered at him. I'm almost 13. Am I not allowed to have an edgy phase where I wax poetic all about the bitterness of my life? Heh, that's all it is. Then maybe I should get you a metal CD. Something black, like your soul. Ha, I prefer jazz. But at least something loud would drown out your annoying quips. Really, what was Akechi worried about? He had nothing left to hide. Tomorrow was going to be fine. The next day he strode confidently towards the gas station attendant. Lazarus night's reflection did little to cast doubt upon him. At best, he attained to power and a persona with ease. At worst, he had to confront his shadow self. A simple task in theory. I've made up my mind. The attendant moseyed over with his hands in his pockets. Let me guess. You still want in? Obviously. The attendant tipped his head down so the brim concealed his eyes. You know, I gotta ask, what made you so dead set on finding me? I know I nudged you a little bit, but you have just passed things up with Narukami and gotten into the TV that way? Akechi shook his head without hesitation. Before, he was unwilling to concede. Perhaps now he's more open to it. But that ship has sailed. I do not wish to be reliant on you, Narukami. I want to attain the power with my own hands so I can prove how capable I am. And prove that he's not just some special, perfect paragon of justice. A prolonged pause followed. Only the pitter-patter of raindrops on asphalt curved under persuasive silence. Akechi stared, desperate, as the gas station attendant kept his head tipped down. Nonetheless, a mistakable smirk silenced his lips. And so you connected the dots and came to me. And you came alone. Ain't that something? You could have spread the word. Could have had people lining up for handshakes by the truckload. I'm no fool. This power is obviously not something you hand out freely. But it's also not exclusive. The culprit, Narukami-san, I knew it had to come from somewhere. When I thought back to the day he arrived, your handshake was impossible to overlook. The subsequent headache, unprompted and unexplained, and the fact that he experienced it yet again before awakening his powers. I thought the night I met Kanji-san, and how you were there, gone in a blink of an eye, and how you continued to approach me with gifts, genuine interest in my thoughts and observations. You sent a request to the Fox to lure me to you. You promised me a reward if I could meet your expectations. With Narukami-san, you made no such effort to connect, and I assume you were no closer to the culprit. Boy. The attendant straightened his posture, bringing a hand to his hip and finally looking up again. It's funny, actually. I meet a lot of people. I see a lot of faces come and go. The few times I've given the old handshake, the representatives didn't even think much of it, carried about their days. I doubt Narukami and anyone else even remembers crossing paths with me. I kind of blend into the background, you know? But here you are, seeking me, and the power I provide. You could have turned back long ago, enjoyed a safe, happy life with your new family. But I guess that wouldn't be satisfying, huh? Akechi hated the way he grimaced at the implication. Wasn't that a happy life wasn't enough? Damn it! But his path gave him purpose. A goal to strive for.
The attendant chuckled. Honestly, it's kind of funny. I gave the power to the perp, and in doing so caused this whole shebang. I've nudged you so many times, played hard to get. I'm not some guardian angel, but you still stuck it out. I don't know your end goal, but if it was pure evil, I doubt you would have granted the power to someone who seeks to stop the murders. Perhaps you're bored. Perhaps you wish to stimulate the sleepy town. Perhaps it's a test of character. If it is, you already see my resume. I guess he pulled up his phone, showing footage of Yu's group exiting the TV once again. A rogue variable like me would add a little spice. I've clearly captivated you already, but imagine what I could do if I could breach the TV screen and let that wild card potential truly shine. Akechi had read enough myths and legends to know trickster gods and spirits. A being like this surely operated under a different moral compass, so not why he leaned into it. He'd give that so-called attendant a show. He'd get him excited at the prospect of a new piece of the board. And oh, he saw the way the attendant's smirk grew. He saw the eerie glint in his eyes, the way they widened ever so slowly, a sign of interest, no doubt. The attendant sighed contentedly, applauding as he had before. Spoken like a true trickster. You just won't give up, will you? You see a wildfire, you'll walk straight through it, just to prove you can survive. I guess he stood tall as he could, stared at the attendant in the eye, and dared to step closer until they stood about arm's length apart. I've lived through hell and I'm still here. This is my chance to soar above the flames, to reach out for truth and seize it with my own two hands. You know it won't be easy. I don't give a shit. Nothing in my life has been easy. But all you have is word of mouth and speculation. What if that world ends up being more than you bargained for? I guess he spoke through clenched teeth. It won't. I know what awaits on the other side, and I will prepare myself for the worst of it. He was determined. I respect that. And you've given me more entertainment in these past few weeks than I've gotten in a long, long time. Slowly but surely he extended his arm, reaching towards Akechi's left hand. So he remembered. You want the power that bad? Well then, let's shake on it. This is it. The moment of truth. Akechi couldn't hide that grin and it crawled across his face. He took the attendant's hand without hesitation, gripping it in a vice. They shook, and then he staggered back, yelping as sudden pain pierced his skull. He grabbed the side of his head. Sore breath as a mix of burning and freezing sensations flashed through his body. Every individual beat of his heart throbbed. His umbrella clattered to the ground. His legs wobbled, but he stubbornly stood his ground. Then, with more clarity than any whispers before, a voice came in the back of his mind. I am thou, thou art I. Thou hast established a pact. May the power of the Death Arcana ignite your inner flame and bring you one step closer to your desires. What is this? I expect a good show, Goro Akechi. Show me the strength of your desires, and perhaps our paths will cross again. How did you... When Akechi looked up, the attendant was gone. Still the pain lingered. He gasped for breath, cheeks moist with sweat. I see. Then this must be where it starts. Breathless, shaky actor welled up from within him, and he swiped up his umbrella. I did it. I did it. Oh, the world kept spinning. His feet felt like anvils. Chill relentlessly shivered down his spine. But oh, how he grinned as he took down his phone. Oh, Kazi-san! Hey, any luck this time? The laughter just kept coming. Checkmate. I retained the attendant's handshake. The power is finally mine. Hell yeah! But wait, did you get the headache like you, senpai? Yes. To be perfectly candid, I feel more than a little winded now. Better hold your ass home then. We can chat more tomorrow, alright? Of course. And don't forget the Midnight Channel. Right. Don't want to overlook any victims. The walk home provided more strenuous than Akechi had hoped. With every step, his legs throbbed. Every breath felt twice as heavy as than the last. Still, he dragged himself through the door in time, and immediately tried to strengthen his posture and smile. When he spotted Yu in the kitchen, a sour sweet scent pulled his attention to the meal Yu had prepared that night. Sweet and sour pork, complete with a rainbow of bell peppers, onions, and sliced scallions. Slowly, Kenzie's stomach cried out like a ravenous beast. You chuckled and said, "Hey, good timing." From the couch, Fatima said, "Huh, I was 5 minutes from making you track you down." It was only hit Kenzie then that Dojima was home, and worse, potentially worried. Face downcast, Akechi slunk further into the house. It's not that late, is it? It's the weather I'm worried about. All this rain, and you could catch a cold. I had my umbrella, see? He held up his now closed umbrella. I was just engrossed in a very thoughtful conversation and lost track of time, that's all. He dragged his feet over to the table and plopped on one of the open pillows. From her spot to his right, Nanako smiled and said, "You can make it your friend?" Ha, I suppose I did. He wouldn't call the mystery attendant a friend, but it was the simplest and least suspicious explanation. But enough about me. I'm surprised you're home so early, Dojima-san. When you passed out the place, Dojima made his way to the table and took a spot directly across from Nekechi. Yeah, there hasn't been any major developments in the case, so they cut me some slack. No news is good news, as they say. Nekechi grabbed a piece of pork in his chopsticks, though his hands wobbled on the way. Not a good sign. And he hailed through his teeth and tried to steady it. He needed to look unassuming. Ichigamas! He planted himself to Akechi's left, frowning. Hey, are you sure you're okay? I'm fine, Narukami-san, but I thank you for your concern. Even after successfully placing a bite into his mouth, his hand quivered. Damn it! Perhaps I didn't get enough nutrients today, and my body simply reacted accordingly. Dojima watched closely. Well, that might be a sign puberty's going to start for you soon. Your body will need more food to keep up with the changes and growth. Just in case, let's get some cold medicine in you. At least then you won't be as shaky. Akechi didn't mean to, but he pouted all the same. Dojima-san, it's... Not taking any chances, kid. You got up, walked across the room, fetched a bottle of cold medicine from the cabinet where the phone sat. After fetching a spoon from the kitchen, he moved to Ketsy's side. Open wide! I can administer it myself. Ketsy scowled, taking the spoon in. Ugh! He downed it, but it tasted so gross and syrupy. He was quick to follow it up with another bite of his dinner to down out the taste. Puberty. A convenient cover, at least. Like a ticking time bomb, isn't it? Relax, Goro, Dojima cracked a weird smile. It's just part of growing up. I guess he didn't have the energy to grumble about Dojima using his first name. He just tried to continue enjoying his meal, even with his hands acting against his wheel. Nanako glanced at her father. Dad, the girls got to puberty too. Dojima nearly choked on his bite of pork, but managed to swallow. Not for a long time, so don't worry about it. But if you need some survival tips, I'm your guy, Yu said, pointing at some of himself. As was common with Yu and Narukami, Kenzie smacked his palm over his face. I'm not sure I trust your advice on dealing with hormonal urges. Thankfully, before the discussion could get any more awkward, the weather forecast came on. A thick fog is expected to set in tonight and remain until tomorrow morning, with heaviest concentration in an intimate area. Anyone planning to go out tonight should take care. Now for our hourly weather breakdown. Normally I'd be worried about the fog, Akechi said, but Maki-san is safe. Perhaps we'll enjoy an ordinary foggy morning tomorrow. Tsujima heaved a heavy sigh. Here's hoping. The last thing we need is more trouble. Nanako changed the channel. Having a great day during Golden Week at your local Tunas. Come see for yourself and get in touch with our products. Every day's great at your Tunas. Nanako sang along. Great at your Tunas. Tsujima watched it to a crooked smile. Great. Now you got him singing it too. That wouldn't be the first time. I guess he said, prodding some fezzies with his chopsticks. But it's alright, Dojima-san. I've yet to fall victim to that earworm of a jingle. You won't be for long! Trust me! Oh, but it's fun! You cut in. Sing with us, Akechi-kun. Perhaps another time, he said to Nanako, and only Nanako. I'm still reeling from my last nutrition. You singing your dear, get lots of rest then. An uncharacteristically stern look crossed her face for several seconds, placed with a bright smile as he looked at her dad. But you're gonna open during Golden Week. Clyde chuckled follow. Yeah, which reminds me. Long holiday coming up. You kids got any plans? Kitsy could read between the lines. Are you available? Why else would he ask? I might be.
With the way this case has been going, you could probably get a day or two off without too much trouble.
Nanako gasped. Dojima glanced between you and Akechi.
This family's grown a lot since last year. Seems a good excuse to wait to celebrate.
Dojima offered to celebrate, as a family, very clearly accusing Kakechi. It was all still hard to believe, despite him living here for roughly a month. Golden Week would be a good opportunity to scout the TV world before midterms. But on the other hand, he saw the wide, hopeful look in Nanako's eyes. Dojima was just kind enough to extend an invitation, so I could make the time. He had the power now. There was no time limit, nor need to fret so long as new victims surface. He needed time to explain his next move, anyway, and with midterms creeping ever closer, confronting his Sal would have to wait until then, assuming his heart had discord at all. Preferably, he wouldn't need to take that step. Ditto. You cracked a small smile. We don't need nearly and spend nearly enough time together. Oh, can we go to Tina's, please? Nanako's puppy dog eyes prompted another chuckle from her father.
You sure you want to go to Judas? We can go there any time.
But there's a difference between going near the shop and going near the mountain. Little Nanako said in place of Akechi. When was the last time you went together? Dojima fell silent for a moment.
That's simple, huh?
Nanako chanted.
Well, let's sleep on it.
Shaking his head, Dojima stood up, carried his chest into the kitchen.
Come on, time for bed.
He looked at Akechi.
You too, kid.
Fortunately, Akechi had finished his meal, despite the irritating trembling of his hand. He bit his lip to stifle a yawn, though. I'm not that tired.
Girl, I tried the same thing back in the day. Not gonna work.
Still, Dojima smiled all the same. You added, a growing body needs all the rest it can get. Ugh. His own damn fault for making him think of his puberty. With a small huff, Akechi brought his dish over to the kitchen. All right. I'll do it for my bones. Then, just like with Marie, a quiet whisper crept forth. A quiet whisper, much like the voices before, cut through his hazy mind. Hierophant. Rock 3. Did these bonds have ranks then? Was that how it worked? Ugh, Akechi grasped his temple. He was too tired for this. Perhaps Dojima was right then. It was time to resign himself to slumber. Funny how simple tasks like climbing the stairs felt so laborious now. He shambled like the undead to his room before collapsing onto his top of his futon as the exhaustion hit him like a truck. You sure you're okay? You said from behind. Kitsy groaned and wiggled under his blankets. I'm just... A loud yawn forced its way against his will. You sat down on the couch. If you're tired, get some sleep. I doubt anything on the Midnight Challenge going to change. But... Damn it. Silence grew heavy. But still, there was even a chance. Hey, if anything comes up, I'll tell you in the morning. That was the last thing Akechi heard before sleep took him.